Hello everybody and welcome back to another review of this Oxford United season. Well, Tuesday night's game against Portsmouth, in my opinion, saw the best Oxford United performance under Liam Manning. We roll on to Saturday in, yes, a really difficult game away at Barnsley. I don't think anybody was expecting this to be easy or realistically one we were going to take points from. But I think it's safe to say this is comfortably the worst performance we've seen since Liam Manning has taken over. He still hasn't won a game since he's taken over from Carl Robinson. And now that's 17 games since Oxford United last won a game. That is absolutely shocking. Mercifully, most of the results went our way again. It was only Morecambe getting a big win away at Charlton, which moves them onto our coattails. Barnsley didn't really break a sweat in this game. It was all too comfortable for them, really. Goals just before and just after half-time saw it a very comfortable afternoon for the winning machine that is Barnsley, certainly when they play at Oakwell. It finished Barnsley 2, Oxford United 0. So I will go over some team news, then I'll talk about the game. I will give some brutal, well, not really that brutal, just disappointing player ratings, and then I'll give my final thoughts. It's all time-stamped down below, so just feel free to jump to any part of the video that you like. But if you do that, then the least you can do is hit that like button. I mean, come on, hit that like button. That helps me out a lot. And if you like the content, and if you want to take mercy on a very much suffering Oxford United fan, then please think about subscribing to the channel as well. So let's have a look at Liam Manning's Oxford United then. So the big change in this one was the fact that Marcus Brown was taken out of the side. I don't think he was great against Portsmouth, and I think he did deserve a little bit of a rest. As the game turned out, he didn't really get that. But he was taken out. Oshie Smith came into like a midfield to make it more of a 4-3-3, to give us more strength in that midfield, really, along with Brannigan and McGuane. You had Tyler Goodrum, Josh Murphy, and Gatlin O'Donkor up front. But it did mean that there was no place on the bench for Tyler Smith, and that certainly did become a talking point in this game. Let's have a look at the Tykes then. Michael Duff's side have had a great season, and they are amazing at home. They certainly still do harbour aspirations of getting automatic promotion, but that looks probably more likely now that it is going to be a playoff push. It looks like they're just going to finish just outside. It's one change from the side that got a very disappointed, but probably not unexpected. We know what Lincoln are like. Draw with Lincoln City. Tedic is the guy that comes in, and boy, did he make a difference. Norwood is the one that goes out. Devante Cole is a striker in great form for them with 15 goals so far in League One. And Herbie Kane's always going to get talked about when Oxford come up against Barnsley, because obviously he was on loan with us last season. But when you look at this Barnsley side and you look at the likes of Mads Anderson and Luke O'Connell, you can see a ridiculously strong spine down the middle of that team. It's no surprise that they've been so strong and so hard to beat. Probably the biggest loss to the Barnsley side is Nicky Cadden at left wing back. He's serving a suspension for a red card he got a couple of games ago against Shrewsbury, I believe, but still a strong Barnsley lineup. And going on to the game, and we saw like a curve between the two sides. I thought Oxford started the game actually quite well and deteriorated as the game went on. I thought Barnsley were pretty sloppy at the start and just generally got better and then flattened out and got more Kungas, got extremely comfortable to the point where they were really barely trying at the end of the game. But the first chance of the game went to Gatlin O'Donkor, and he misses another really good chance after the two he spurned against Pompey. Do feel for the young lad. It's pretty much the only thing he did in the game. He did unfortunately get an injury soon after this, but it's 8 minutes. It's a long ball upfield from Eastwood. Kyle Joseph flicking it on. Gatlin O'Donkor's in on goal. He just has no conviction. It's on his right foot, and being a left-footed guy myself, I know that my right foot is pretty much just used to stand on, so I know how poorly I used to be on, I am on my right foot. And he just didn't look like he had any conviction of it, and it was a poor effort. Didn't even trouble Isted in goal, and and another good golden opportunity for Oxford gets spurned. You definitely saw Oxford trying to play out from the back more than I've seen recently than under Liam Manning. Definitely see those players definitely trying to step it up and be more possession based rather than just smashing it long. And that's probably where Barnsley did get their best bits of joy early in the game were picking Oxford off from a couple of sloppy and wayward passes. You saw Brannigan caught in possession. You saw Joseph of a slack pass, which nearly played Barnsley in. But I thought Oxford were quite comfortable. A lot of Barnsley's play was quite trying to hit long balls over the top or out to the flanks or in straight up to Devante Cole or Tedic. And a lot of times Oxford, it was quite wayward passing and quite easy to deal with. They did have one absolutely clear-cut chance, though, and that was after 12 minutes, and it was Tedic. Barnsley always had that natural width with the wing-backs who push in on, and it was Lakeshi who got a good ball in. Tedic with a free header is only about 6 yards out, but it was a very, very good save from Simon Eastwood to keep us level in the game. But then 25 minutes, again, it was very lacklustre. Oxford quite comfortable at this point in the game, but then Gatlin O'Donkor did suffer that injury. Looks like could be a muscle injury. He went off pulling his shirt over his head. Early signs don't look good that he may not feature again this season for Oxford United. So where does that leave us? Well, it leaves us with one recognised striker, and that is Tyler Smith. And where was Tyler Smith? He sat in the bloody stands by himself. Liam Manning has frozen Tyler Smith out, and now you're going to feeling he's going to have to be the guy that we call on for future games. But it was Marcus Brown who came on to replace Gatlin O'Donkor, which meant Oxford were just very, very disjointed. Oxford did have one other good chance in this first half, and it was Cameron Brannigan after Marcus Brown won a free kick in his typical Marcus Brown way on the edge of the box. It was a good hit from Branners, but instead it was his side of the goal, and he was able to pour it away out for a corner. The more the half went on, though, you did find that Barnsley started to find their groove, and you did find that Oxford started to get a little bit less composed as the game went on. There's certainly things I used to see under Carl Robinson's Oxford United side away from home, where we'd start the game well, but then we'd just get a little bit scrappy, aware that we're trying to hold on for a draw, and everything just got a little bit disjointed. You saw players really just not being able to get on the ball and pass it around very well, and Barnsley were just able to take control. We weren't really creating much from it, but then right on the stroke of half-time was when they got their goal. They had joy all afternoon working the ball down into the channels. Down Oxford's left-hand side, Barnsley's right, where Williams gets on a ball and he plays it back to Phillips, who whips a beautiful, dangerous cross into the near post, and Tedic is there to steer it into the net. Pretty harsh on Oxford at that point, I would say. Probably didn't deserve to go in 1-0 down, but it's the sort of goal we don't score. And I know that's stating the bloody obvious because we don't score many goals, but that's the sort of thing where people put a good ball into the box, and you did see examples of Oxford putting good balls into the box today. There was Long, there was Goodrum in that first half. It was nobody, because we only play with one up front, and because nobody's in form, nobody's making that near post run, nobody's stretching the defence. Exactly what Barnsley were able to do, and that is why they took the lead in this one. 1-0 down at half-time. We've seen Oxford 1-0 down at half-time against Bolton recently. We went in 1-1 with Portsmouth, and you did see a decent response. You saw a decent response. We were 1-0 down against Sheffield Wednesday. Are we going to get that from Oxford United in this second half? The answer is an emphatic no. It was Barnsley who came out ready to kill this game off, sensing blood in the water and wanting to get a fast start and get that goal, and they did. They put Oxford under constant pressure from the start. Oxford really struggled. Again, it was a struggle just trying to get out of our half, really. Barnsley were winning the ball back high, getting a lot of set pieces, and they got a corner. Eastwood actually made a good save from a header from the first phase of the corner, but Oxford couldn't get the ball clear, and Barnsley were able to recycle the ball, get it again into the near post. Again, it's Tedic with a good run across the centre backs with a good header into the bottom corner. There's nothing Eastwood could do about it, and 2-0. We're never going to come back from 2-0 down. Even at that early stage in the second half, you just knew there was no fight left in Oxford United. Or there might be fight, but we're never going to get those goals. Or the season just tells you that was going to be highly unlikely. And the game just really slowed down into a crawl. You sensed that Barnsley were just playing within themselves. They kind of knew they had Oxford exactly where they wanted them, and they could just keep them at arm's length. And Oxford, all they could do was really throw a load of subs on and hope it would make impact. You did see Yannick Wilczek come on. You did see Josh Murphy come on. You did see Billy Bowden come on. And for a little glimmer, Oxford did create a couple of decent opportunities. Yeah, Josh Murphy actually came on and I thought he did okay. I'm not saying he was great, but you actually saw a Josh Murphy that actually looked like he had some intent to play, an intent to want to be there. And he got on the ball and he actually wanted to make things happen. Where is this Josh Murphy been? If Josh Murphy would have turned up for larger parts of the season, maybe we would have got better. And you actually saw him linking up with Wiltshire. Where have these guys been all season? It's been so underwhelming, these two signings. And we've said it to death. But it's Yannick again. Yannick getting into good areas. And Yannick's final product, which was absolutely shocking. He was played in, not really on goal, but he was breaking down the left-hand side. He got into the penalty area. But as players converged around him, he does the Yannick thing. He just has no conviction in what he's going to do. He doesn't know whether he's going to shoot or if he's going to try and dribble around some players and create a better angle or pass. And he does neither. And the chance goes away and we get nothing from it. And Oxford, as I say, there was a goalmouth scramble pretty soon after that from a corner, which just didn't go our way. And you were kind of thinking, if we can get a goal, maybe we can put some pressure on them. But then the game just fell completely flat. For a good chunk of time, Oxford just, whenever they did get a half a chance of creating a counter-attack, Barnsley were very good at shutting the ball. Barnsley were able to make subs and kill the game off. You had Norwood with a late drive, which Eastwood batted away. And then you did have a couple of chances right at the end. And again, it was Josh Murphy providing a good chance with a run down the wing in for Yannick Wiltshire, who got some space in the box, but a scuffed effort just went wide of the post. If that would have been, Jerome Sales said on commentary, if that would have been 2-1 and Yannick would have missed that chance, he probably would have broke down and cried. I know how you feel. And later on again, I think it was Murphy again who put a good ball in. Yannick Wiltshire with a header. It looked for all the world it was just going to go into the top corner, but instead just pulled this remarkable save out of nowhere right at the death. And he come away with it. 2-0 defeat to Barnsley. And again, as I said at the start, probably most of us, and myself included, would have probably expected to go to Barnsley and probably end up losing the game. That being said, we're now left hanging on again just above the drop zone on goal difference. We've got a huge game in hand on Tuesday against Cheltenham, which feels like that finally must be the game where we end this barren run, but that isn't going to be a guarantee at all. But at the end of the day, Barnsley run out easy winners, and I didn't say it at the start, and I normally do, so apologies, but congratulations to Barnsley and their fans. This felt very easy for you today. It felt like the fans were barely even celebrating the win. It was that comfortable. But let me know what your thoughts are. It probably looks like playoffs for you guys, judging by the results how they went today. But we'll talk a bit more about it at the end, and let's move on to some player ratings. Just by default, I probably have to give Simon Eastwood man of the match because he made some good saves in the game and he looked all right. It wasn't his fault for the goals. What can he do? 7 out of 10. No one else is going to get that. Sam Long gets a 5. Average, just really average today. He didn't do anything. He wasn't terrible, just nothing inspiring from any of the players out there today. Kieran Brown as well gets a 5. I thought he was very poor on the ball. Looked very ungainly when he was passing the ball out of defence. And Long didn't look that much better, to be fair. And he didn't look that. He looked like he looked vulnerable down that left-hand side, which I haven't said that too many times. Finley as well, I thought he was in possession, so poor on the ball. Okay enough, won a lot of headers and stuff like that, but just both the centre-backs beaten for the goal. Moore, 5 out of 10 as well, just same as Finley really, just nothing inspiring from this Oxford United lineup. And Brannigan as well, 5 out of 10. He had a good effort in the first half. He probably looks the most likely player to stick the ball in the back of the net, but just very underwhelming, certainly after the first sort of 25 minutes from this Oxford side. Ocean Smith, I'm going to give him a 6. You know, he tried to get forward. He tried to make some things happen. He tried to be that spare man, but quite often his touch was a bit wayward and a bit poor, and quite a times he did find himself giving the ball away. But just going to give him a 6 just because he's finding his feet really, and I'm being a bit generous. And he was tidy enough, and he's a young man. And what can you really expect from him when you've got more experienced players around him not reaching a high level? What can you really expect from Ocean Smith? And Marcus McGuane gets a 5 as well. Again, tidy enough at stopping the play and being a stopper. We didn't really see anything from him from an attacking point of view. None of those driving runs, which we saw him do for once against Portsmouth. Didn't see any of that today. And again, just passive in his play. At times in the second half, I remember he could have played a good ball into Murphy where he was on the run, but he plays it behind him. All too safe. 5 out of 10. Same for Kyle Joseph. Just offered very little in the game. Yes, work rate, yada, 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 but quality just wasn't there. Gatlin O'Donkor, I'm not going to give a grade to, just because he came off after 20 minutes. He did miss that good chance, so it's just unfair. But Marcus Brown gets a 5. He came on as a centre-forward role, but he was barely in the game, just trying to throw himself to the ground and win free kicks, really. But not a good performance from Marcus Brown. But Josh Murphy, I'm actually going to give a 6 to, just mainly because I thought he came on and actually showed a decent amount of, from his standard, of effort and intent. It's the bare minimum standard that we expect normally, but because he's been so poor, the fact that he's actually tried is a good effort. I'm going to give him a 6. Yannick Wiltshire gets a 5 again, gets into good areas, but flat as to deceive and doesn't make things happen. Billy Bowden also came on after 70 minutes. He gets a 5 as well. Did he touch the ball? I don't think he did. But at least I guess he got some minutes running around. That brings me on to Liam Manning, and Liam Manning gets a 5. I thought this was an Oxford side which just lost the plot, really. It lost composure. We went back to some just old, poor standards that we had under Carl Robinson, where we tried to pass the ball around at the start. We tried to show that we were a side in control and we can match this Barnsley side. But the more and more the game went on, the more and more we just got sloppy. The more and more we just invited the pressure onto us. And the more and more where we just look bereft of ideas going forward. It's probably harsh to give Manning a 5. What can he do? All he can do is throw these boys on and hope that they can do something. But, I guess structurally it wasn't too bad. But I guess that really the overall decision of just axing Tyler Smith, so he sat in the stands, so we've got no recognised striker, I think was a poor decision from Liam Manning. I think his subs did freshen things up a bit in the second half, but overall, lacklustre is the word. 5 out of 10. And that brings me to my final thoughts. And my overall emotion isn't anything of anger. There was an air of inevitability about today's game. I think a lot of us expected that this was going to happen. I didn't really think we saw a huge amount of fight from Oxford United, which is very disappointing. But again, I just have to say congratulations to Barnsley. What a solid, hard to beat outfit you guys are. At the back, you looked imperious, looked very hard to breach your back line. In midfield, you've got a load of guys that just know how to do their jobs. Very good ball players in there with Connell. Herbie Kane obviously shows that touch of class in there as well. You've got wing backs that add that natural width to the side, and you've got 2 strikers up there which cause a heck of a lot of trouble to the 2 centre-backs. And it's a system I'd love to see Oxford try and play, to have 2 bodies in the box, going for chances rather than one. We always just look so isolated in the penalty area when we do go forward. And again, it's a credit to Michael Duff in terms of how well organised he's got this team. And you should be very proud of your side, Barnsley fans. Very good, and good luck for the rest of the season. But let me know what you think is how you're going to end. I think it's probably very unlikely you're going to get into the automatic promotion places, but let me know how you think you're going to do in the playoffs. Could be a big, tasty final against the likes of a Bolton or a Sheffield Wednesday. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. And I'll turn my attention to Liam Manning's winless Oxford United. And look, I felt quite positive after the game against Portsmouth that if Oxford turned up, played with that intensity, played with that intent, played with that, and created those amount of chances, that eventually we would win a game. We weren't terrible today, just very lacklustre, and we knew once 1 goal went in, once 2 goals went in, we were a beaten force, a spent force, and we just didn't really have any idea of how to get back into it, which worries me greatly that We have no idea what Oxford United is going to turn up on Tuesday night now. Cheltenham, we're hoping. They got a big win today. They're safe. Maybe they'll take their eye off the ball. But Oxford have to match that level of intensity as a bare minimum for these final 3 games now if they're going to get absolutely anything out of it. We've got to bring Tyler Smith in now. We have to start with a striker, so he has to play. And I don't know who he's going to go with in terms of the other players. Are we going to see some Bowden? Are we going to see Murphy? Are we going to see Wildshirt? Are we going to see Goodrum? Or Joseph? I don't think either of those players did great today. So it's really a bit of a mixed bag in terms of what Oxford United lineup we're going to see and what Oxford United are going to play like. I'm really worried about it. I think you kind of have to start with that same team that started against Portsmouth and just hope they match that level. And then you do obviously have those options to change it from the bench. Obviously, Gatlin will be missing and he'll either play Joseph, he could play Joseph up top. I even forgot that. He might not even play Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith might be banished into exile, which is really harsh on the young man. I'd like to have seen him given a go. But we are where we are. We're 17 games without a win. We're lucky we're not in the relegation zone. We're just absolutely lucky that we're still in with a shot, and that is what we've got. We've got a shot now. I think we all knew it was going to come down to these 3 games, and that is what it comes down to now. We have to try and find 2 wins from these 3 games. Have to try and find it. It looks like Port Vale are pulled away now. And it looks like it's going to be between Accrington, Cambridge, Morecambe, ourselves and MK Dons. It's going to be 2 sides happy, 3 sides unhappy at the end of it. We have to make sure that we are on the right side of it. It's still in our hands. It is still in our hands, Oxford United fans. We can still kick up 9 points from these remaining games, and 50 points would almost certainly keep us up. But how confident are you of that happening? Me, not confident at all. It's been a miserable season. We move into the final throwings of it, the final 2 weeks of it, the final 3 games. All we can do is stop the pissing and moaning and just get behind this team. If you can get to the Sam Stadium on Tuesday night, go and support Oxford United and support them till the final whistle. They're going to need it. I'm going to be watching it very nervously on iFollow. I'll do a very quick review of that game afterwards, but that's just about it from me. Leave your comments down below. We don't need to tread over old ground. We know where we are. We know we don't have strikers. We know we can't score goals, and we know we're not a very good side. Are we going to win? Are we going to win any of these final 3 games? And Barnsley fans, let me know your thoughts as well. Oh, the joys of being emotionally invested in a football team. Thanks very much for watching. I'll be back on Tuesday night. Maybe in tears, maybe happy. Bye for now.